There's something unusual about Generation X. They're everywhere, but somehow never in the conversation. They're not loud online. They don't explain themselves. They don't demand attention. And that silence isn't accidental. It's psychological. Generation X, born roughly between the mid-60s and early 80s, grew up during a transition most people don't talk about. They were raised at a time when the world still expected kids to figure things out on their own. Not because parents didn't care, but because that's how life worked. Many Gen X kids learned independence before they learned comfort. Imagine being a child and coming home to an empty house. No texts, no check-ins, no safety net. You didn't ask permission, you didn't complain, you adapted. Psychologically, this creates early self-regulation, the ability to manage yourself without external reassurance. That sounds like strength, and it is, but it also comes with a cost. Gen X learned very early that reliability was inconsistent. Parents were busy, institutions failed publicly, authority figures were exposed. So instead of trusting promises, they trusted patterns. If something worked once, fine. If it failed, they adjusted. This is why Gen X doesn't expect systems to save them. They don't assume fairness, they assume responsibility. While younger generations were encouraged to express emotions, Gen X was taught to contain them. Not because feelings didn't matter, but because reacting didn't change outcomes. So they developed emotional distance. Not numbness, control. They feel deeply, they just don't broadcast it. This is where Gen X humor comes from. Dry, ironic, detached. Humor became a buffer. Laugh before it hurts. Make a joke before anyone gets close enough to see uncertainty. Psychologically, this is emotional self-defense, keeping vulnerability at arm's length. Their relationship with work is another clue. Gen X watched loyalty fail in real time. They saw parents give decades to companies and still get replaced. So they didn't believe in loyalty to organizations. They believed in competence. Be useful, be adaptable, be replaceable in theory. That's why Gen X doesn't chase titles, they chase skill. Authority doesn't impress them, ability does. They respect people who know what they're doing, not people who just say they do. That skepticism wasn't taught, it was observed. When you grow up watching leaders contradict themselves, you learn to trust results, not words. Gen X also has a complicated relationship with connection. They value people deeply, but they don't lean on them easily. Asking for help feels unnatural, not because they don't need it, but because self-reliance became identity. Studies show Gen X is less likely to seek emotional support during stress, not out of pride, out of habit. They're also the last generation to experience boredom, real boredom. No internet, no instant answers, which forced creativity, patience, and problem solving. When something broke, they didn't Google it. They tried, failed, tried again. That built confidence rooted in experience, not reassurance. Now they're watching a world that runs on visibility, oversharing, constant updates, public emotion. And for Gen X, that feels unsafe. Not outdated, unsafe. Because to them, privacy equals protection. Gen X isn't cynical, they're realistic. They don't assume things will work out, they assume things will change. So they prepare quietly. Multiple skills, backup plans, low expectations. Not pessimism, adaptation. They're the bridge generation, between analog and digital, between trust and skepticism, between structure and flexibility. Bridges don't get praised, they just carry weight. And maybe that's why Gen X doesn't care much about recognition. They never learned to expect it. If you know someone from Gen X, their calm isn't indifference, it's experience. And if this video felt accurate, subscribe. More psychology most people overlook is coming next.